Good afternoon, sir. This is Vivek Gupta from Deloitte. First of all, I must commend you for an absolutely exciting budget. The concept of trust first, scrutinize later, I think stands very well with the taxpayers. There's one specific question that I'd like to ask you, though. There's been a lot of clamor around the fact that our tax law has a lot of provisions which call for artificial valuations. So, for example, when you're doing listed company transactions, depending on the date of signing and date of closing, there's some artificial valuation norms that are set out in the rules to the tax law, which actually are causing listed company transactions to become very difficult. We are all hoping that in the new tax bill that we see within a week, some of this will be addressed. Is the government also looking at reorienting the rules in order to simplify the multiplicity of these valuation norms, particularly when, sir, your own government has a tax law which, for the purpose of transfer pricing, for example, allows a fair value to be determined based on the facts and circumstances of the case. So there's a strong case to be made for these manifold valuation norms to go away from the rules in the Act. So if you have any comments on this in the context of introduction of the new tax bill.
Well, I think this is certainly a good question. I think the more complex things we make, the more difficult it is, the more interpretative it would become. So I think our efforts are really towards that, trying to simplify. Now, some of the elements of, like in the new law, new bill which we are bringing, some of these elements we have upfront addressed in this itself, rather than trying to really say that we'll just put it there and then, because it will take time, you know, to be deliberated and get passed. So like TDS, TCS thing, you know, we did some rationalization earlier. We did so many rationalization in this, budget itself. So that will be a continuous process of exchange. Even, for example, arm's length pricing also, many people have a lot of suggestions on us. That means how soon we do it. What is the time we take to do the ALP? What is the capacity we have to really conclude them quickly? So therefore, just because, you know, we have an ALP process, it doesn't mean, unless and until we make it efficient, unless and until we make it, you know, timely. So which means that we've got to be really doing the capacity building in our department to do the ALP commensurate with the demand.
Right.
And these are the issues, there's a capacity issues we must address. But all the simplification issues, I think, even if in the new bill, you will find that there are certain things which have been carried over. You will have every chance to give your suggestions, and also the standing committee would also be inviting suggestions from the public, and that those will also be examined.
Mr. Pandey, a lot of the tax experts who joined us on budget day say they might be out of a job if what you've promised of halving the tax code actually goes through. So can you give us a sneak peek of what we should expect, or what they should brace themselves for, sir?
Well, I do not know what is the outcome, because what we see will be simple. Whether it will be simple in your eyes or not, I think because it is the beauty lies in the eyes of the beholden, you know. Now the whole thing is, you know, we are making a very sincere attempt. This particular thing, in other sovereigns also, this has been attempted. Some people have taken years. 4 years, 5 years, to change the new law, to rewrite the law. We had some groundwork earlier in some committees, yes, which they did the work. But this work, this piece of the work, bringing it has been done in about 6 months. So obviously, you know, while we will say that we have done a great job, we don't know. I mean, so we have to, the suspense is, the jury will still be out.
Yes, the jury is out, and we'll have to wait for you to actually bring the bill.
But what I can say is that the words will be halved, chapters will be halved, redundant provisions will go. There will be a lot of these things which are clubbing, they will come. Speech will be direct, and probably what you call assessment tier or something may vanish. So what we are saying is like trying to say something very clearly, more directly, and that has been our, guiding principles. To what extent we have been able to actually work out, because it's a big team that works and there's so many people who work, and whether the whole guiding principles have been fully kept, I think We will be open to criticism also. But we are making a very sincere effort for reform.
Sir, I can tell you, I'm standing here in the middle of a room full of many experts, and many are tax experts. I could suddenly hear a sigh go out. I don't know what that indicates, but the minute you said chapters will be halved, words will be halved, I could hear the sighs increase here in the audience. But you had a question, sir. Go ahead.
So my question is, I must compliment the way this exercise has been carried out in this budget, despite the fact the new income tax bill is in the offing. And one of the important changes you have made is that you, in the tax deduction at source, so wherever you're feeling that nitty-gritties and you have tried that TCs has been removed, only TDS will be applicable. So my question is, when we are trying to simplify the tax laws, tax deduction at source provisions have been introduced at many places, not to collect taxes, but to have an audit trail. And I believe now a lot of audit trail is available under the GST. Because all goods and services are covered under the GST, and when you are filing your returns and documents, most of the information is available there. Is there any exercise on that whatever is being captured in the GST will be taken into consideration while drafting these provisions under the income tax, particularly on TDS and TCS, so there is no duplicity and no complexity, that same information is being served, is available in the government domain in GST, and the same is again being captured in the income tax.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Go ahead, sir.
Well, that is a good question, and I think that is ideally we ought to be doing this. That means basically two different laws should be talking to each other in terms of also import. And I also agree with you, some of them were brought in because, we didn't have the GST, but in the GST that information is already built. I would say that although we have been trying to eliminate all those, but I can't guarantee that, some of it will not really pass on in the draft bill that will be there. But as I said, we will be really open to suggestions. And if we are finding out and the suggestion is that, this is not really required here, so we will eliminate it that also. Like, for example, here we have mentioned, there was a very big pain point. In the sale of goods beyond 50 lakhs, you had said TDS is, the law was all right. All what it said was, if TDS is not done, then the TCS will be applied. This iffy business is a very dangerous business because the point is, how, the TCS fellow, he is independent. The TDS fellow is different. He says, how do I know he has not done TDS? So then I will be caught and I will be penalized, and there will be a, so let me also deduct. So therefore, if actually practically didn't work, so both started deducting. Now, our intent was only to track, I said, and we had only one person in mind, either or, but it became both. When it became both, then 1% plus 1%. So much of money would be blocked. We must realize the more money we block of business, the more uncompetitive we are making them to be, because every money has a cost.
Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause to the MeitY Secretary, Mr. S. Krishnan, who joins us on stage. I don't even have to ask you a question, so the question has already been delivered. So the mic is yours, sir.
No, I think the power electronics bit, as far as MeitY is concerned, is primarily on the semiconductor side, especially silicon carbide and those set of chips which need to be made. That is covered under the India Semiconductor Mission. And we are pushing to see that we have more capacity in the country to handle that. Likewise, there's a lot of research which we are doing alongside various ministries, including Ministry of Heavy Industry and also new and renewable energy sources, on ways in which power electronics can be applied in this particular space. We have a whole project called NAMPET, which is basically on power electronics, and we believe that this is an area of great growth in the country, and we need to stay focused on that area to make sure that we support power electronics through a variety of schemes in the ministry. Some of these will overlap with what is being done in MNRE and what is being done in MHI, but we will iron out those issues and go forward.
Mr. Krishnan, many thanks for that, sir. But if I may ask you, the big expectation was that there would be a new PLI scheme for components that would find its way in the budget. But we're given to understand that that consultation process is still underway, and perhaps we will have to wait a little bit longer. Can you throw some light on that, sir? And also on the existing PLI scheme, in terms of disbursals, sir, there are some questions on the disbursals being slower than what was anticipated or what was expected. If you could clarify on both.
On the new scheme which relates to electronic components, there's a process that it has to go through in the government system. Just because it doesn't find a specific mention in the budget speech, it doesn't mean that it won't come up during the course of 2025-26. Sooner rather than later, I'm sure that the scheme will be underway. That's one part of it. And I don't think funding will be a problem. I think if you look at the budget numbers between 2023-24 to what it is in 2025-26, the budget has grown more than twice. It's more than 100% jump. So it's a huge jump from about 12,000 odd crores to 26,000 crores. So I think within that budget envelope, we should have no issue in supporting a new scheme also if when it actually comes up. On the disbursement side, the disbursement basically happens based on the claims which are filed by the companies, and on our side we try to process them as quickly as possible. The disbursement is basically in two schemes, one on the two PLI schemes, both PLI on large-scale electronic manufacture, which is basically mobile phones, and on IT hardware. PLI on large-scale electronic manufacture, which is mobile phones, is still the best performing PLI amongst all, and disbursement is continuing quite strongly. PLI on IT hardware, really the disbursements should commence only during 2025-26. That's what we were expecting, because the first full year of production was really 24-25, and only when that production is completed will we have claims coming in and companies claiming incentives under that. And many large companies, or not many, but a couple of significant and large companies are coming into the scheme only with effect from 1st of April 2025. So real claims will accrue only during 25-26.
A quick question on the budget allocation for the India AI mission, Mr. Krishnan. I was just taking a look at that. It's gone up from 173 crores to 2,000 crores. While that's a jump of 1,000%, but when you look at the numbers that are being touted about in the US, target billions, hundreds of billions of dollars, the same story playing out as far as China is concerned. Do you believe that this is going to be enough?
I think we need to understand that when Mayoshi's son talks about $500 billion, he's not talking about government money.
Yeah.
He's talking about private money over a period of time which comes in. And I think same is the case in India. The investment is being made. Government is playing the role of a catalyst here, and the investments are really being made significantly in the private sector. There is some government investment, of course, without doubt, but significant amount of investments are in the private sector. What we are supporting under the India AI mission really, and the minister had recently made that announcement of about 18,000 GPUs being available for use, and that part, the AI compute element having been launched. So those investments are actually happening. Those are private sector investments where government is basically providing demand support. It's almost like a voucher-based system. It's an ability for us to buy the compute facility, and which is going forward.
Just on a note, as a joke, I would say that we should not finance enough to finance our own
demise,
extermination, human extermination.
So which is why you've been stingy in your budget for the AI mission, sir. It's self-preservation. But that's
humanity must preserve itself.
Yeah, absolutely, I couldn't agree with you more. Humanity must preserve itself. The question, or more actually, I think again it might be premature, but I'll ask nevertheless. The AGR dues for the telecom sector, a lot of reports suggest that the government is actively considering whether you could provide any further relief there on AGR dues. The matter will have to be, of course, cleared eventually by the Finance Ministry. Has it come to your table yet? Is it on your table? Are you looking at it, sir?
You will come to know when it comes.
So it hasn't come yet?
No, I mean, I think this has been under discussion, because unless and until it is decided, is not decided. It has to be decided.
It has to be decided, but is it under active consideration today?
No, I think that much for today.